Recap in minutes. In today's video, we will be going to enjoy a war and action movie entitled, Battle of Westerplatte. There will be spoilers ahead, so chill out and enjoy. At the beginning of the movie, a colonel named Vincenta comes to meet the station commander of the garrison at Westerplatte. He talks about the developing political situations in Europe and Germany especially. He tells him that they should be ready for the war, because the Germans have come to his coast of Westerplatte. He warns Commander Henry about the incoming attack of Hitler on their garrison. He gives him the intel that he has merely 12 hours to get ready for the suspected attack. He orders him to engage the German forces there to save Gdansk. Commander Henry asks him if there will be support coming within 12 hours, and he answers that there will not be any reinforcement at this time, because in the case of full war, the Skorchinski division will be cut off with them. He again asks him to make up his mind to withstand 12 hours. After that, he leaves. Fearing the worst conditions and attack at the garrison, Commander Henry writes a letter to his sister. He encourages her to live peacefully with their mother and take care of her. He writes about him and his conditions at the Westerplatte. He sleeps while writing the letter at the table. The next morning, on the 1st of September, Commander Henry and his assistant Kuba wake up after the cannon fires on their office. It marks the first day of World War II. Kuba takes every man of the garrison to the trenches and orders them to take the positions. The Germans fired with heavy artillery at the garrison fort. When the Germans halt firing for a while and walk through the forest to reach the fort, Commander Henry and his men take their cannons out and take positions in the trenches. They see them coming and fire at them at once. They fire at the captured lighthouse tower with the cannon. After that, Germans fired at them from their battleship from the sea. While in the radio room at Westerplatte, they get the news of Hitler's attack on Poland. It was said on the radio that every main city of their country was under attack by the Germans. They announced that they would retaliate against the invaders firmly. In the next scene, after seeing so many deaths of his soldiers, Major Commander Henry asks his second assistant Lieutenant Grixman to take command in the guardhouse, take 21 men with him at the guard, and send the remaining troops back to the barracks. He says that this will help save his men from the heavy attack of the Germans. Lieutenant Buda does not like this order, because he was in charge of the guardhouse from the beginning. At night, Commander Henry receives the telegram sent by the higher authorities. They wrote him the orders to count their losses and keep fighting and defending the Westerplatte. And they say that they are unable to send the reinforcements at that moment. Kuba insists on writing again to send the backup help, but he refuses by saying that they will not send the help, because the whole country was under attack. After that, he goes back to his room and flashes back to his old memories. He thinks about a night with Kuba, when they were having good days and drinking together. He asks Kuba if he can call him by his name instead of calling him Major. Kuba requested the Major to call him Kuba because he had a horse named Kuba in his previous regiment. The Major Commander Henry liked that and appreciated his love for the animals. He asks him to call him Henrik. In the meantime, Colonel Vincenta enters the room and joins them. They start talking about the political situation in Europe and the attacks of Hitler. Kuba tells them that Hitler will not attack Poland at any cost. He thought that it would be suicide for him if he would do that. They appreciate him and keep drinking. The next day, Westerplatte's sky fills up with German fighter planes. They fly low over that town and start dropping the bombs on the barracks as well as on the fort. They shocked everyone on the ground. The Polish troops rushed to save their lives under shelters of any kind. Major Henry takes shelter in the bunker along with others. After bombing the fort and the town, the fighter jets go away. Major Henry makes Captain Kuba in charge of the operations and moves to his room, while the captain and his men come out to prepare the artillery in the base. When he receives the wounded soldiers from the fort, one of the soldiers gets him the news that the fort has fallen to the Germans. After that, a subordinate informs him of burning some important papers in the kitchen. The captain goes there and asks them who orders to burn of all the secret papers in the fire. They said that they were ordered by Major Henry. Meanwhile, he saw another troop rushing on the stairs to go to the rooftop of the fort with a white flag. When he was about to raise that flag there, the captain stops him, but suddenly that soldier gets shot from somewhere and dies. He rushes back to the commander Major Henry to ask about the papers, but he faints there due to his illness. They call a doctor and after the checkup, he tells them to give him a little bit of rest. The captain asks him not to tell anyone about the health of the major. He agrees and leaves. At night, the Germans again try to infiltrate the base camp of the Westerplatte garrison, but Lieutenant Grixman prepares the strategy of the retaliation and executes it. He aligns every soldier in the trench and fires at them immediately when they come closer. The fight begins outside of the room of the major and they defend their posts. In the next scene, the major sits in his office after his recovery. Kuba comes there and tells him that the Germans will come to the barracks on this third day. He warns him that their troops are not able to defend the barracks now. He explains the strategy of the Germans, that they will attack the barracks today from the sea. And suddenly a bomb hits the wall of the room. After that, Kuba leaves the room, and goes to the radio room. He gets the news of the defeat of the Polish army in Ksu and Grudzic. They receive the news that the Germans are entering Gdansk. In the meantime, they get good news for them when they hear that England and France have declared war on Germans. Kuba sends radio operator Stefan to tell this news to the other men in the barracks. In the next scene, when everyone was sitting in his position, Lieutenant Grixman and Lieutenant Buda start fighting over the issue of the leadership of the guardhouse. Every soldier was diverted from the battlefield to them. Germans enter their premises at this time. They got alerted by one of their soldiers and then fired afterward. When Kuba was informed about this incident, he calls both of the lieutenants and warns them that they will cost their lives if they commit any mistake again. He dismisses them and orders others to change the shifts in the trench. He orders other members to check the power plant too. When those troops went to the power plant, they were attacked by 3 of their own Polish troops from the power plant. When they could not kill them, they were left with no choice but to come out of the power plant. The corporal tells this to Captain Kuba, who orders him to kill them. The corporal takes them to the coast, where they were killed. After some time, the major meets the doctor at the barracks, and asks him a favor. He hands over clay from the soil of his father's grave. He tells him that if he dies, bury that clay with him too. He also gives him the cigarette as a gift in return for his favor. After that, he goes outside and finds 2 soldiers being locked up in the room. He asks Kuba about them, who tells him that they were spreading some rumors about the war, and demoralizing the other men. He insists here again that morality is the only important thing for a soldier to win the war. Suddenly a soldier came to them, and told them that the German tanks were coming to the barracks. They rushed to see that. They realized that it was not the tanks, but the German armored train. They open fire at them and stop them in the forest. The Germans come out of the train, and start firing on the trees of the forest. Soon they kill them too. The next day, the major asks the captain if he has sent the shift change to camp number 1 or not. He refuses his order to comply and change the shifts of the soldiers. This shocks the major, and he threatens him with a court trial after the war. After some time, on the 7th day of defending the Westerplatte, the Germans attack them heavily. They cause many casualties. The number of dead and wounded soldiers increases. Seeing this, the major orders to call a meeting to discuss capitulating the barracks to the Germans. He completed his letter to his sister, which started writing on the 1st of September after the warnings of the attack. He wrote to her to be brave in all the circumstances in Poland. After that, he leaves the room while Captain Kuba follows him. They come out in the shelling, where Kuba asks him to call off the order of capitulating the barracks. Suddenly a bomb falls near them and Kuba saves them. When he gets up, he yells at Kuba that it is not for him but for the poor soldiers who are dying one by one. Now he points his gun at Major Henry to call off the order, but he does not listen to him. He comes back to the barracks and orders Mr. Piotrowski to send the message of surrender to all the units. Then he calls his men in the trenches, and informs them about the fall of the cities of Łódź, Krakow, Poznan, and Bydgoszcz to the Germans. He orders them to surrender and hang the white flag. While on the other hand, when the soldiers get this order, they get angry at that. They all wanted to fight because of the hope of French and English help. They got emotional and did not like the white color of the flag. After that, the major talks to the soldier himself. He tells them that the help will not come what they are expecting. Then Kuba speaks to them about their bravery, and the prestige of their nation. He raises their morale and asks them to be vigilant in their lives and not lose hope. They sing their Polish national anthem together emotionally. After the completion, they start to take care of their wounded soldiers. Kuba leaves them and walks away from them at the sides of the barracks. Their doctor sees him and walks behind him. He suspects his behavior. When he sees Kuba reaching for his gun in his buckle, and trying to kill himself, the doctor comes and takes his gun. He reminds him of his success in his military career. He asks him to wait for the right time to save the country and his men. The movie ends, when the Germans come to their barracks and capture them. They search them and arrest them. It is shown that they surrendered on the 8th of September in 1939. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this and to help the channel grow.